we have such a tiny little group of panelists today here, so let's hear from them. We have the main topic areas to get into today. Let's start with the first topic, which is how Japanese companies contribute to society and how that affects workers' satisfaction or connection to their company. I want to start with our two business persons on the panel first on this one. Perhaps Jian-san, you can kick us off?
In my opinion, staff in the Japanese company is quite have their own responsibility to contribute to the society, and maybe it's quite different compared with other countries or even other situations, and they have their own responsibilities and doing this kind of different types of jobs to try to solving the society issues. And from my background, especially from the to contribute to the society with manufacturing, let me say in several cases that to focus on the technology development and compared with other countries, so they are very large to doing the technical development. Takes a very long time to do this kind of fundamental studies and to try all kind of ways to do the technologies. Maybe it will be good for them to improve the technology readiness level, but in several cases it also causes them get not very good results. But they still trust themselves so that they can contribute to the society with this kind of processing or this kind of activities. Indeed, this kind of activities or this kind of considerations impressed me during my daily job. As I mentioned from my self-introduction sections, indeed I learned a lot from my colleagues, even with doing this kind of jobs, and it's very attracted me during my work in Japan as well.
I think you're involved in the technology a lot, so you see the technical development in Japan contribute to society in that aspect.
Yes. Because my background is still R&D based, and my experience maybe just from the technical side, I can say like this. From the other side of view, and Mr. Sandy can give us some other hints about that.
Yeah, so based on both of my consulting and also previous experience working at a Japanese traditional automotive supplier company, I think there's three things that we can highlight. I personally can highlight based on my experience that Japanese companies do well for the society. Number one is putting always the customer first. And this I want to compare with the global companies or the capitalist economies where perhaps they prioritize more the shareholder return. But I personally see a lot of emphasis being placed on the customer experience and safety of the customer in Japan. The Japanese companies prioritize that. Number two, I think this is something Jian also mentioned earlier, R&D, how much they prioritize R&D and also the quality of the products that they want to offer, right? Not only products and services as well. Always aiming to offer high superior quality products to the customers is something that the Japanese companies I think uniquely prioritize and execute. The third one I would say is also in general the care for the employees that the Japanese companies have, perhaps driven by the labor laws set by the government, but I think every Japanese company at heart cares for the employees that they employ. I think that's something that's very valuable. Now all of this 1, 2 and 3, putting the customer first, emphasizing the quality and then caring for own employees, they always come at cost. They are not easy to do, right? And that's why one of the reasons, several, of course there's other reasons as well, but all of these, they come at costs compared to their global competitors. Now how can we help realize these Japanese companies find these optimal ranges, right? For example, how much customer satisfaction is optimal versus how much quality can you should you need to keep versus what the customer really wants, and what's the correct incentives for your employees to of course retain them, but also to keep them motivated to do the operation, to do the innovation, so on and so forth. So these are some of the challenges I also see that are faced by the Japanese companies. But my satisfaction comes from basically helping these Japanese companies that try to do right for the society, but beaten by their global competitors is something that I personally don't feel that it's the right thing. So I try to correct these in my work.
I have few working experiences in 3 Japanese companies now. and about their contribution to the society is one Japanese company focused on the sample yoshi, which makes everybody happy and everybody contributing to the society. To everybody is a winner in every transaction in Japanese, which I really, really love. There's a lot of emphasis on teamwork in Japanese companies. Decisions are made jointly. Sometimes it might drag a bit, sometimes, but decisions are collective. We all know what we are doing. We know where we are. We know where we are heading to. So nobody is left behind. So I think that's actually a very good contribution to the society. And coming from different parts of the world, some of us have had some mid-level or executive level experience in our organizations. So seeing a unique way of doing it is different from the way we do it in our boardrooms in our various countries. So it's really unique for us. And also the internship opportunity they give in Japan makes it easy for students to actually understudy a working system. So it's not only imaginary as you do in classrooms. You're actually there working with a real professional, and it's really a win-win.
I am a fresh graduate. I don't have any work experience, but still I would like to share what I observed by being in Japan and by interacting with Japanese employees, that in Japan, work isn't just about like making money, it's about contributing to society. And many Japanese people find satisfaction in knowing that their work helps others and make a difference in their community. For example, like someone working in healthcare may feel fulfilled knowing that they are helping sick people. And also there is one book named Ikigai that says that it's important in Japanese culture that finding joy and purpose in one's work. So this helps people feel satisfied and motivated in their jobs. So that's what I observed.
We can move on to the next one. Next topic is, what do you find charming about Japanese companies and what potential you see from Japanese companies to contribute even more to our society? I think you already mentioned some parts, but probably you can repeat or add more on it.
I think Japanese companies have a good reputation for quality and innovation. And they are known for making reliable products like cars and electronics. And as the technology advances, there are new opportunities for Japanese companies to grow and expand globally. For instance, that Japan is a leader in robotics and could capitalize on this expertise in various industries. And also, since with the growing interest in sustainability, Japanese companies can focus on eco-friendly practices to attract more customers worldwide.
From my ongoing research, some of the feedbacks I actually get, I think I would like to speak from their perspectives. There are a lot of prospects for Japanese companies across the world. One of the things I think Japanese companies can really maximize more is a bit more open to foreigners, to have diverse input from different places. Some of the foreigners are willing to assist them as a freelancer or even work full-time, either here or remotely. But there's a bit of need for trust and understanding and maybe a bit of flexibility to design a product market fit that can actually be sold abroad. Also, sometimes there's a need for collaboration. It might be a founder market fit. Japanese company has the expertise in designing to standard. Some of them have the local expertise, some have the financial, some have the marketing skill. If everybody comes together, we have a founder market fit, and we can actually design big multinationals that can actually scale up. Many countries that Japan is way ahead of now, that the economy is going down to the 4th position now. So I think a bit of more opening and to foreigners, collaboration and partnership, they can do much more. Those are the prospects, I think, for Japanese companies to really do better with their resources.
Perspectives for Japanese companies, I think there's quite a few. I want to take maybe the social, like contributing to the society stand. From that, maybe we can split this conversation in two ways, I'd see. Number one is in general catching up with global trends, right? So when you think about like reducing emissions or using greener energy or gender equality even in Japan, there's a lot of catching up that needs to be done. That's one axis we can talk about. And the second one is pioneering new trends, right? And this is, I think, very special to Japan. For example, the elderly population, like by 2025, like or 2027, a third of the population in Japan is going to be 60 plus year olds. How do we care for them? And this is going to be an increasingly relevant issue, not only for Japan, but for the global economies as well, right? Following Japan. For the first set of like ongoing, already leading by the Western economies, I think Japanese company Abdulaziz also mentioned like being more open to foreigners and having the American and Western companies and the economies as a reference on how to approach or how to accelerate this change. I think that's what Japanese companies could do. And for the second one, here I see a lot of potential from two elements, right? The first one, the elderly people in general have a lot of, let's say, buffer, higher willingness to pay, let's say, compared to an average customer. So how do you design products and services that help increase their quality of life? That's a market, I think it's reasonably untapped. A lot of Japanese companies right now perhaps not even have that as a target customer segment, but I think in the future more of them will do. That's the first one, like how to tap into that potential while solving their pain points. The second one is the labor shortage in Japan, I think can also be addressed by leveraging this elderly people combined with technology, right? Of course, for the operational manufacturing roles, perhaps not the right fit, but if we can train them to use the digital and technology and leverage their, let's say, presence, I think that could be a lot of help for the Japanese companies. And then guess what? Like these can be exported to the global markets in the future, right? So this elderly population right next in the list are Italy, Spain, and then US 10 years later. The Japanese companies that get this right would be able to win in the global markets in the future and could help re-innovate Japan. For example, one of the pain points for elderly people is loneliness. So how do you solve that through social networking sites like all of the Instagrams, the Facebooks, but how do you connect these elderly people? And then these I think can be scaled up, more success in the future.
I just forgot to introduce my company. The company is one of the biggest heavy industry companies, so it supports the ordinary our lives, but it's also facing this kind of issue. And according to my experience, all the staffs in this company are trying to solve these kind of social issues. So in my opinion, especially under the complex situations, the Japanese company also includes the IHI corporations is also trying to catch the trend to solve the global issues, not only in Japan side, but also the global warming or like that greenhouse gas emissions like that. They are trying to do their best to developing the technologies and focusing on different challenges during this kind of processing. In my opinion, or in the market-driven opinions, it might be too early for them to bring this kind of technologies to the market. But because they are so serious to solving this kind of issues and trying to left the beautiful earth to our next generations, and that kind of activities indeed is a little bit might be different from other companies in other countries. I like this kind of activities very much, and this kind of activities will bring Japanese companies to leading the world to solving the global issues, not only the domestic but also the global issues as well.
Jensen has been trying to collaborate with other countries or companies in your business activities, I guess. So you can probably give us a little bit more vision for collaboration.
Yeah. Based on my experience, indeed, I try so Japanese heavy industry company, but it's not limited activities inside Japan. It's also try to collaborate with other companies, not only in India, but also in other Southeast Asia, China, and etc. as well. And the IHI company itself cannot solve all of them. We need partners from the different side of view and build this kind of value chains to bring the advanced technologies and solving your issues, and also get the feedback and improve the technology as well to get the better results from our demonstrations or even collaborating with our customers. This kind of open innovation activities is quite important to Japanese companies. And also there's a lot of this kind of innovations happens inside IHI and also among those partners as well.
There is a need for more collaboration across the world. The world is now a global village, but I think we are not maximizing the potentials enough. With the generative AI and other technologies that have been springing up, we can do much more with a lot of data and access. So my projects now, my academic thesis, which are actually leapfrogging into real projects now, is supposed to be like a basis to create a data point and not data point. Can I call it a platform where Japanese companies can actually collaborate with companies that are abroad? So let's say Janssen's company wants to expand to Nigeria and India, and they don't have a contact in those countries. They should be able to, like, just with the click of a button, reach real people in those countries that can help them to facilitate the internationalization of their products to those countries. They can help them to conduct market survey, marketing research plan, and whatever international operational requirement they need to, even regulatory compliance, without being there physically. There are people from all over the world that actually study. Like, there are over 300 JICA scholars that are studying now. And everybody goes back to their country. Study and go back. There is no forward and backward relationship. So what's the platform I'm trying to work on is to make it useful, not just meet and say konnichiwa and go back home. It should be a long-time family-like relationship where we can actually help ourselves. When in the course of helping them to expand to your country, you can help your country products to expand into various countries too. You create employment in both sides. You create products that are not available in both sides. And some people will even just act as people that will collaborate, that will coordinate the activity and make something out of it. So it's a win-win situation if we can come together using the global marketplace.
Different companies has its own strategies to doing the business worldwide. I think in future, if it understands the importance like that and build this kind of, you mentioned the win-win situations, it will really bring the advanced Japanese technologies to the worldwide and contribute your countries and your communities to a new life or better life.
I think what Abdulaziz is doing right now will help if your company or other Japanese companies can use those kind of network or maintain like long relationship will help Japanese company to go around the world much more faster and longer. And I think like Sandeep and you are doing kind of similar things as a consultant.
Yeah, similar thing. So Abdulaziz, you mentioned the marketplace, the global marketplace, like how to tap into that. I think we can all agree there's a lot of potential there, but I also think Japanese companies in general, Japan also needs to get more comfortable with these unknowns, right? When I say unknowns, that's one of them is the foreign talent and then perhaps digital technologies. In general, being open to risk. So in order for you to like sell that or let's say let the Japanese companies use that platform, I think there's going to be a lot of procedure that the Japanese companies would, have to go through to leverage people from that marketplace, right? How do they optimize those and they start using them? I think if you were to set up such a marketplace, for example, for companies present in Europe or US, you would probably be able to like upscale it so quickly compared to Japan, right? So how can Japan, like in general, tackle that barrier? And if you think about what are the drivers behind those barriers, one, I think there's language. In general, Japanese are more comfortable with Japanese language, and when it comes to doing business or anything in English, they hesitate. And secondly, there's structural, I think, issues in Japanese companies that in general delay this type of like taking risks and so on and so forth, right? You said the collective decision making. Of course, it adds to the merits of the Japanese culture, but at the same time, like stuff like that, I think needs to be streamlined quite a bit. Now, let's hope the language is something that can be tackled by technology in the long run. In the meanwhile, I think effort needs to be made by both the Japan side of stakeholders and like people like us here, bridging Japan with other, like we need to be interfering. And this is what I do in my work as a consultant as well, right? For Japanese companies to like speak or to interact, to do business with global people, like having one person in the room that understands both cultures, both languages, it accelerates so much bureaucratic process. It's super valuable. So making sure we play a key role here while the technology helps address, I don't think it will address 100% of the problem, but I think it will like address hopefully 50-60% of it. And I think by then, hopefully Japan also makes some compromises, right? Like streamlining some of the bureaucratic processes. And in general, being open to change and getting comfortable with the new ways of working. I think I see that as a path forward. But I think that's of course a lot of work, and I think we're moving in the right direction. Perhaps we can accelerate it.
We naturally moved on to the third topic, what the Japanese companies need to improve on, and probably you guys have lots to talk about here. Shik-san, you mentioned it before, like what Japanese companies need to do. You hope they will do.
There is a need of learning English language or providing English language courses to Japanese people. In IUJ, every summer we have such courses. The employees from the Japanese companies came to IUJ and learn English language, where they learn English language for 3 months. It's a great opportunity for them to learn and interact with international students in English language, and for us also to know more about them, their working culture and their working experiences. So the one thing is providing more English language courses in Japanese companies, teaching Japanese employees English languages. Also, while Japanese companies excel in many areas, there are also areas where they can improve. One challenge is diversity and inclusion in the workplace, and adapting to the changes with the global markets and embracing the digital transformation is crucial for a Japanese company to stay competitive in the long run.
Maybe one, I think, element that we didn't touch upon so far is collaboration. Yes, we talked about collaborating with other companies or global companies. I also see some potential for Japanese like corporate companies to collaborate with governments, right? Both like national level and also at the local level. Maybe not in every industry, but when it comes to upscaling the digital or technology or leveraging that, I think there's potential there. More specifically, if you want, let's say, have digital healthcare, for example, and to care for the elderly people. This is something that I mentioned earlier. So one of the huge healthcare cost driver for Japan at the moment is caring for the elderly people, right? Cardiometabolic syndrome is the top like healthcare, let's say, disease that's costly for Japanese government. That's preventable, right, with exercise, so on and so forth. And this is something that can be addressed via technology. And this technology, Japanese government like tries to do it by itself. Now, if you were to couple this with the tech company in Japan, I think you could accelerate quite a bit timeline. So perhaps collaboration with other stakeholders where needed instead of being siloed. In general, Japanese companies, within the companies, each departments are siloed, less communication. While we tackle that, while we address that, I think Japanese companies can also try to collaborate with other stakeholders.
Jen-san has been in Japan for a long time. I think you can tell us how you are adjusted to the Japanese, including working culture and to Japanese society from China.
Japanese staffs are quite kind and friendly and speak frankly to you and show their opinions about your studies and your results. Yes, language is one of the issues because everyone come here is quite talented and has the capabilities to study different languages and to get the new knowledge and experience. And I don't think the language will be a tough job for you, because the Japanese company also change a little bit, slow but a little bit, to speak English internally as well. And a lot of Japanese workers can still speak very fluently English and show their opportunities and discuss with you in English, especially this kind of global business issues. The real issue, from my opinion, Japanese companies are still focusing on their own cultures and have short of knowledge for a global side of view, accept different cultures from the outside and get the new informations and the new trends from the developing countries or even the global south countries. Maybe this kind of issue they will change step by step. You cannot hope that all the Japanese company will change it just in one day. It's a step-by-step work, and Shinka mentioned that the internship is quite useful tools for you to get understand better of the companies as well as whether you can match with it or not. Maybe a very short period for your internship, but you can understand better how about the people in the company and what kind of work they are doing and how they are dedicating to their own job and take the responsibilities to try to solving the different issues.
So I think during my internship experience and interaction with Japanese employees helped me and created a sense or a path of direction that where I want to go and what I want to do.
For me, Japanese companies need to improve more on the adoption of international languages like English, Arabic, Portuguese, French, so that more people can actually work with them. They also need to improve on the flexibility again. Different market requires different product. And the way the world is now, the consumers determine what they want, not the manufacturer. And for Japanese companies, they want to determine, we only do minimum quality, minimum this, minimum that. But hey, just keep that to yourself. We don't want that. We want this. If they can give it to me in the quality, in the cost that my customers are able to buy, I prefer to buy from Y company. So that's, to me, it's also been a problem. I was speaking to some people that manufacture automobile engine parts, spare parts and stuff, the CEO of some of the companies. So some of their feedbacks they gave me was, the same Toyota products, spare parts they can get in Japan. They get it in Dubai. They get it in China. They get it in, I think, Vietnam. They get the same similar quality at a cheaper rate. They are able to get for the cost customers can buy. But Japanese will say, this is the minimum quality. This is the minimum standard. Is that you buy or not? I'm not buying from Japan because my customers will not buy. They determine what I buy and what I sell to them. But Japan wants to be the one to determine what they want. So I think those are some of the areas I think Japan can improve on. Product market fit is important, and Japan has not been able to get that perfectly right. I think they can improve on it.
This is a very interesting topic, right? Like how Japanese economy and companies are homogeneous, right? Like looking or at least serving internally and looking inwards. I think like how the Japanese companies and their products and services so far up until now, and maybe even for the next 2, 3, 5 years, they will continue to be okay. Yes, the Japanese companies struggle to operate outside of Japan. Like they struggle to export, they struggle to fit their products. At the same time, outsiders are also not able to enter Japan. So when you think about, for example, just to put in reference, right? When you think about the Japanese automotive suppliers, for the Japanese automobile makers, OEMs, that sell cars in Japan, a lot of them continue to use tier like suppliers based in Japan, because outsiders, they cannot come in and replace the quality or the level of like, you know, all the stuff that the OEMs need. And that's why they're still able to operate, right? Now this is changing because global companies, they're figuring out how to enter Japan. Like when you talk about the Chinese suppliers or when you talk about the Western EV makers like Tesla, they are now entering and capturing market share in Japan. And now that's acting like slap on the back, right? For the Japanese companies to now explore outside opportunities or to re-innovate. If not, the safety buffer is going to disappear. So while the global companies are exploring ways and trying to enter the Japan markets, since the Japan companies, they're not like safe anymore in terms of their safety buffer, they need to explore global markets and they need to be able to win, right? And this is why like this change needs to happen sooner. And I think this is something we covered earlier, right? So for the change to happen, yes, the language is a big barrier. And while that's tackled by the technology, effort needs to be made by both like people like us facilitating this transition and also Japanese, I think in general, Japanese companies learning English or in general being more open to such change.
Let me add several words as well. And I think Japanese is quite focusing on the improve their quality. I think many of you guys heard about the inverse innovation, like at the different positions provide a suitable quality product to them. So far in Japan, it still applies its own standards, try to apply its own standard worldwide and still keep very high qualities, highly above the expected by the customer from other countries. But the quality is quite important. And also, in my opinion, from the technical side of view, if we can using the digital transformation technologies to simulate the conditions and simulate the potential risks and how to control them in the acceptable areas, with that kind of activities, we really can provide the suitable products to our customers, also decrease the cost and make the products more competitive with other companies, or even especially during the global supply chain. And we are, as a Japanese company, we're facing the different challenges from the worldwide, not only the domestic, other players as well. Use this kind of advanced technologies, supply the suitable product to the customer. Maybe the Japanese company can improve their products competitiveness and contribute to the worldwide to, for example, make the better life for the next generation as well.